Sin caos no puede haber cambio, y sin cambio no hay evolución. Juntos exploraremos cómo transformar la incertidumbre, el dolor y la incomodidad en la magia que intuitivamente sabemos que es posible para nuestras vidas. Yo soy Aislinn Derbez y creo que los mejores regalos que puedes darte son espacios para conectarte, sentir y reflexionar. Espero que este sea uno de ellos. Vamos a hablar sobre el concepto de masculinidad, que anda muy tergiversado. Y hoy lo entendemos como algo negativo. Y bueno, lamentablemente todavía siguen habiendo muchísimos que están en esta creencia de que para que un hombre sea verdaderamente un hombre, pues no puede mostrar sus emociones, tiene que básicamente burlarse de todo lo femenino, ir por la vida haciéndose el macho proveedor, entre muchos otros clichés. Esa visión de lo masculino obviamente nos arruina la vida tanto a los hombres como a las mujeres. Y por eso estoy muy emocionada porque vamos a invitar a Justin Baldoni otra vez. Les digo un poquito quién es, para los que no lo han visto. Él es actor, productor, activista y ahora es escritor. Trae un librazo. Nos va a platicar todo sobre su nuevo libro, que es Man Enough. Y por fin lo va a sacar en español. Se llama Suficientemente Hombre, este libro. Y nos va a dar las claves para deconstruir el concepto de masculinidad que hoy tenemos y empezar a crear uno nuevo que nos funcione a todos. ¡Yay!
Hello, my friend.
Hi, Justin. I'm so excited to have you again here.
Oh, it's so good to see you. How you doing, Eyes? What's going on?
Great. Lots of work. I'm working like crazy. Um, Between work and being a mom, it's hard, but it's great. I'm having a
It's a
lot of fun.
lot. Oh, good. Can I please have your skincare routine?
Oh my God.
I would
Thank you.
like, I feel like I need to work on my glow like you have.
Honestly, I put like thousands of oils and creams on my face, which I guess it works. But
Just
yeah.
after this, send them all to me. I want all of them.
Finally, your new book is in Spanish, and I think
Yes.
our audience in Spanish really needs it. I think we have twisted as a society our view of feminine and masculine,
Yeah.
and I think it's key to reivindicate them. So that's what you're going to do with this book. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud that you.
Oh,
I think it's amazing, and I think it's incredible that you're doing it in Spanish because it's so
thank
necessary.
you. And your dad gave a quote for the back of the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your dad's on the back of the book.
That's
He gave
amazing.
a very sweet quote. It made me so I was grateful.
That's so cool. Okay, let me ask you a question. I'm going to start with a
Okay.
question. Through the lens of your new book, right? What
Mhm.
is masculinity for you?
Masculinity for me
Mm-hmm.
is innate. You know, the world tells us, culture tells us that masculinity is something that we have to prove.
Yeah.
And I believe anytime we have to prove something, we're proving it because we don't feel like we have it. So in life, you can always come from a place of love or you can come from a place of fear. We know that for things to really work, we need to come from a place of love. Because anytime we come from a place of fear or scarcity, we're overcompensating. And masculinity, because we have to prove it, have to prove our machismo, our masculinity, what we're really saying is that we don't feel like we have it.
Mm-hmm.
We're insecure. We're comparing ourselves to other men. And when we have to prove something, we're overcompensating. And it means it's not real. It's not authentic. It's not sincere. I believe that masculinity, femininity, these constructs, these ideas are innate within all of us. I am masculine because I am identifying as a man. It should be that simple. And if I don't have overt masculine qualities, if my muscles aren't huge, if all of the various things that we think about when we think about men and masculinity, that doesn't mean I'm not a man. I'm a human. So for me, masculinity is about being human. Sure, I want to have a sense of direction and I want to be accountable and I want to have purpose in my life and I want to be of service to other people and I want to help and I want to learn from my mistakes. I want to do all of these things. These are good qualities of masculinity, but they don't have to come at the cost of my humanity, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I want to ask another question. Could you explain some of the privileges that men face in our society just for being men. And
Privileges?
privileges, yeah. And why are they unfair for women and for themselves too?
Oh my God. Well, this is a hard topic, but what's coming to mind is this. There's not one law
Mm-hmm.
in all of America, probably in Latin America, that I can think of that is even like in the same ballpark comparison to what's happening right now in Texas with women fighting for their right to have an abortion. There's not one law for a man that could ever dictate what a man can or can't do with his body.
Totally.
Doesn't exist. And I'm not sitting here saying that that I believe abortions are great and everybody should go have them. But the law, the idea that a woman can't choose what she can do or can't do with her body with something growing inside of her is an example of a privilege that men have.
Exactly.
There was a bumper sticker. Someone tweeted like a bumper sticker that was if men could get pregnant, there'd be an abortion clinic at every gas station.
Wow.
Because again, who's making the laws? Men, right?
Exactly.
So that's one example. Here's another example. When the young woman Sarah Everard, I believe was her name, who was murdered in England by a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
After she was murdered, London deemed it was unsafe, right? Because they didn't know who did it. It was this whole thing. And women felt very unsafe. Instead of creating a curfew for men, they created a curfew for women. Because it was unsafe for women, so they asked women to stay at home. Now, women aren't the ones that were raping and killing each other. Women were afraid of men. They didn't say, if you're a man, stay home. They said, if you're a woman, it's not safe for you, stay home.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, wait.
If you like.
I don't know what it means either.
My computer went crazy.
I don't know what it means either. She's even confused by it, right? Even Siri is confused by it. But if you think about it for a second, right? Think about violence against women, right? Violence against women. Mm-hmm. Jackson Katz, who I love, who's one of the OGs of men's masculinity work, male feminist. It's a man's issue. It's not a woman's issue. Why are men not standing up and making themselves accountable for it? Yeah. In our country right now, if women were being attacked on the street, which they are, we know 1 in 4 women have the chance of being raped in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. If it was no longer safe for women because of the way that we work as a society, because we're such a patriarchal society that men are in charge of, we would ask the women to stay home for their safety, while men could go about the world free just as they were before. Exactly. We're not protecting women. We're protecting men right now. So all of that work, that's an example of privilege. Women can be the ones being assaulted and attacked, and yet they're the ones punished. They're the ones that are told to stay home. We're not fixing the problem, which is men. Men are the ones doing the assaulting and the raping 98.9% of the time, not women. And yet women are punished for it. So these are just examples of privilege, if you will. The fact that women don't have control of their bodies, the fact that women are in fear of their lives every single day of the week, half the time, just walking to their car at night.
And the problem is that it has been normalized for like hundreds of years. So that's why nobody's doing anything. And I think this is the time that we're finally like waking up about it, right? This is a very personal question. At what exact moment did you decide that you were tired of all of this, that you were tired of trying to be man enough?
There wasn't an exact moment. When I was 25, I had just gotten broken up with. I was in this relationship. Whether I was cheated on or not is very fuzzy. Mm-hmm. However, the woman is now married to the person, if you will, today. But, very fuzzy line. However, I was depressed and I was heartbroken. I realized that my life was backwards. I was performing. I was trying to prove my worth. I didn't know who I was. I was crowdsourcing my personality. My entire worth was measured on whether or not people thought I was enough versus whether or not I thought I was enough. And I met my wife, and even then in that relationship, it wasn't easy, and we struggled because I was trying to find myself and prove myself, and she was dealing with her own issues that also have to do with the patriarchy and masculinity. And I realized over the course of my relationship, even with my wife, and those first few years, I was like, who am I? I'm tired of saying something I don't mean. I'm tired of being so defensive when somebody tells me that I'm doing something wrong. I'm tired of hurting people that I love just because I don't have a great sense of self. I'm tired of having a feeling constantly less than when I'm in the presence of other people that or other men that feel more masculine, or feeling small when I'm around powerful women. I was like, these are all things that I was taught. These are all socialized behavior, if you will. And so it wasn't one moment. It was a lot of little moments. And I'm just like, screw this. I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to feel good about who I am. And honestly, that I didn't snap my fingers and become that. I'm still working on that. I'm working on that every single day. I'm in that right now. I have to tell myself in the mirror that I'm enough. I have to look in the mirror and be like, oh, wow, I can't really see your six pack anymore. But you're not defined by your, I'm like, no, it's okay, Justin. You're not defined by your six pack, right?
Exactly.
That's going to go away eventually. And I have to be like, okay, all right, I'm enough. I'm good. I like myself. Thank you, body. Thank you for the ability to walk. All of this shit that's built in, that's drilled into our heads. You know what? I feel like having pizza today. I'm going to have pizza today. I don't care about what it's going to, do to my midsection. I'm going to enjoy myself. It's like, these are all things that I'm still struggling with and working on because society has drilled into me that I have to look a certain way, I have to be a certain way, I have to feel a certain way, I have to have enough money in my account, you name it. So
I think feeling not enough is one of the main problems of humanity.
If we were enough, there would not be a need for capitalism. How could they sell us something if we were all enough?
Okay, so what do you think makes us feel not enough constantly? Do you think it's society, or do you think it is how we're raised?
It's all of it. It's the patriarchal, capitalistic, racist society that we all live in many ways. We're pit against each other because it's all about capitalism at the end of the day. It's all about power and acquiring it. How could we ever feel enough if our worth is based on what's in our bank account? Or think about now, how many friends or followers do we have? That's all in the back of the mind.
Every single day, yeah.
And we have to be able to share those things and name them so we can realize how fucking ridiculous they are. So it's all based on productivity and value and these false senses of what means something. And all that really matters is, how do we feel about ourselves when we look in the mirror?
Ugh.
And if we can associate all of the shit that the world tells us that we have to be, and go back to be like, well, who am I? Who was I when I was born? Who does God think I am? Does God love me? Yes. Well, why can't I love myself?
I wanted to ask you another question going back to masculinity. I wanted to know which misogynistic attitudes you learned from society through your life, and how have you consciously challenged or corrected them?
I feel like daily I'm seeing different things I've learned. One of the things interesting about privilege is that you can wake up one day and look around you and realize that you are surrounded by people that look like you. It's very easy to do that. That's privilege, right? And sometimes having privilege means going out of your way to bring people into your life that don't look like you, that don't represent the world that you come from. Looking around and be like, wow, there's a lot of straight white guys in my life. Okay, that's interesting. In my relationships with women or my wife, noticing, oh, there's some entitlement that I feel. Where is this coming from? A super misogynistic attitude is this defensiveness that I've felt when a woman points out how something I said offended her, right? It's like, that's not what I meant. I've only learned in the last 5 years the difference between intention and impact. So that means for 32 years of my life, I was walking around thinking that just because I didn't mean to hurt somebody meant that that person shouldn't have been hurt. And so many of us men feel that way. Like, oh, but I didn't mean to hurt you, so get over it. You're fine. That wasn't my intention. So sorry. No, that's not the reality of it. And it took strong, badass women drilling that into my head over and over again to help me realize the difference between impact and intention.
Wow.
Right? Because I can have a good intention, but I can accidentally smack you in the face and give you a black eye, but you still have a black eye. So for us, for me, I had to really look at this and be like, okay, my actions really affect people.
Mm-hmm.
Even if my intention wasn't good, I hurt that person. Shit, I didn't mean to hurt that person. Why do I keep doing this? One of the reasons why I went on this journey was because I was like, I keep hurting people in similar ways. What is this? And you just have to look at it, because all of us do this. Women have their own versions of this. That's internalized misogyny, right? We're all affected by the patriarchy, women and men. Women for survival reasons, oftentimes.
Amai Natural es una compañía que hice con una de mis mejores amigas, Mariana Burelli. En Amai Natural creamos productos 100% naturales y sustentables como shampoo, acondicionador y crema. Todo en barra. También tenemos otros productos deliciosos como nuestra línea para bebés. Todo lo que hacemos es libre de sulfatos, parabenos, sintéticos, aceite de palma, silicona, fragancias químicas, empaques de plástico y por supuesto libre de crueldad animal. Están disponibles en amai.mx, en Amazon y en sephora.com.mx. Checa el Instagram de Amai Natural o la página web amai.mx para más información. It requires so much awareness. Even like the meanest people, most of the times they do think they're doing something good.
Every bad guy is the hero in his own movie.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, when you have privilege, you oftentimes don't have awareness because you don't have to.
Tell me something, because I've been watching so many sexist jokes and things that were very normal before.
Yeah.
Now everybody's like complaining that now you cannot do or say anything because everything is harmful. What do you think about that? What role does humor plays in undefining masculinity? Where's the line between harmless jokes and sexist jokes and all that?
Yeah, I don't really know if I have an answer to this one, because I tend to believe that humor is really important. I think that
Yes.
I feel like if we can't laugh at ourselves, then what can we laugh at?
Exactly.
I put in the book, I'm not super funny, but I did my best to write some funny stories of things that have happened to me, because they're important to share, because it's like the funny stories that are based in truth are what bring us together. I think that we're at a place where everybody's very sensitive right now, because for so long, many of these jokes have been made at the expense of marginalized communities. And with the advent of social media, people are finally being able to take their voice back. And I don't think that's going to be figured out anytime soon. I think that, I think there's going to be a line. We'll have to see what we feel comfortable laughing at. And if there's jokes that cross the line, we'll feel it, But the court of public opinion is a very difficult thing, because everybody's got an opinion. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of people are hurting right now, and we want others to hurt when we're hurting, because it makes us feel better. Yes. So it's all skewed at the moment. I think there's a lot of enmeshment. I don't think it's black or white. I think laughing is really important. I think we have to laugh at ourselves. I think we have to laugh at privilege. We have to laugh at our insecurities. We have to laugh at a lot of these things. But that's a line I think we're just going to have to find for ourselves as we move forward. For sure.
Why is it for men so difficult to be with a powerful woman?
I think it's pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Because we're told, in a patriarchal society, we're told that the only people that should be in power are men. When your entire value as a man is predicated on the idea that wherever you go in your life, you need to be in power, and you meet a woman who exudes more power than you don't know what to do. It's like a robot that can't understand the assignment. So you're then going into areas of your life, and it's like your brain, you have this cognitive dissonance where you're like, math equation not working. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because the way the patriarchy works is like my co-host on Man Enough, Liz Plank, called it a pyramid scheme, which I love. And if you think about a pyramid scheme, the only way to get to the top is to have people under you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what masculinity is.
Exactly.
Right? You need people under you. So if you don't have people under you, you don't know how to feel powerful. And when you're with a powerful woman, if you're a man and you're in a relationship with a powerful woman, if you don't have your own sense of enoughness, your own innate worth, and your value is predicated on this idea that you must be the head of the household, the man, the breadwinner, the money earner, all of these things, and yet you meet a woman who's doing all of those things, you don't feel like there's room for you. Mm-hmm. So what I've seen men do is they either try to manipulate, emotionally abuse, like find any way they can to exert power over this person.
Yeah. Or
they go find someone else to make them feel powerful.
So true.
Right? It's basic psychology. And that's the way the patriarchy works. I mean, look at bullying, for an example. Who does the bullying? Hurt kids that have been bullied. Kids that don't feel love from their parents. Kids who are abused by their parents. Kids who feel like there's no place for them at home. They don't feel valued. So they go to school and they bully other people so they feel better about themselves. Right? And then what happens to those kids who are bullied? They end up bullying. Yeah. Or they end up having so much empathy and compassion that they don't. Right? Mm-hmm. It's this power pyramid scheme. That's what the patriarchy is. You're only powerful if there's somebody under you. And if you're like this, you need to find a way to get here. And that's why men don't do well with powerful women.
And tell me something, speaking specifically about men's rejection of femininity, how do you think women can hold a man accountable and at the same time create a safe space for him to heal and share who he really is?
I think there's this idea, there's calling people in versus calling people out. Mm-hmm. And, it's really hard because the burden shouldn't be on the woman, right? Just like when we're talking about racism, the burden shouldn't be on Black people to teach us. Or we're talking about, transphobia, the burden shouldn't be on trans folks, right? It's all the same stuff. Mm-hmm. Specifically with women and men, the burden shouldn't be on the women. However, when you enter into a relationship, in a hetero relationship between a woman and a man, and the woman is able to see things that the man can't see, maybe behaviors that the man isn't aware of. Mm-hmm. What I've noticed works the best is when women are able, and I'm not a man saying women need to do this, but what I've seen work the best, because us men have fragile egos, is when a woman is able to put her anger aside and call in the man and say, I love you. This is what you just did and why it hurt me. It might have not been your intention, but this is the impact it had on me. Now, a lot of men can't handle that, even when it's said that way. And so women over time get more frustrated, and then that's where their anger comes in. So just the idea that a man is saying that a woman should be patient with a man is frustrating sometimes, because women have been having to deal with this forever. But what I've seen work the best is this calling people in, saying, I'm sure you didn't mean to hurt me, but you hurt me. Yes. Right? Exactly. I know you didn't mean to slap me in the face, but I have a black eye.
Exactly.
Right? When we call people out in any situation, especially social media, especially with the culture we're in, we're creating an adversary, an enemy. And that doesn't help anybody. That doesn't serve anyone. That doesn't help growth. It doesn't make anyone want to learn. I mean, if you were like, Justin, you're an idiot. Like, I'm so sick of this. I'd be like, okay, well, my defense is up. I put on my armor. I put on my helmet. I'm like, you're coming at me. Shoot your bullets at me.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you bring me in and you say, hey, can I share something from my heart? This really hurt me. I love you so much. I know you didn't mean to hurt me, but you did. Can we work on this? You're on the same level.
Wow, yeah.
And I've seen that work very, very well. And part of how I've seen it work is it's what my wife does for me. And I'm able to really, really listen when she calls me in that way. Mm-hmm. And the time she calls me out, I become more defensive, and it takes me longer to come back around. Okay. Even when she has every reason to be angry.
You have that in a relationship. You have the part right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really sweet. I'm
Um,
really blessed. I'm really blessed to have that.
yeah,
Because you have two people that are listening to each other, that love each other. And we forget so often in relationships, we're on the same team. We're not playing against each other. We're on the same team. And when you're on the same team, you have a common goal, and that goal is to win. I
yeah,
want you to win.
exactly.
You want me to win, which means we show up for each other. And yeah, we're frustrated and annoyed at certain times for certain reasons, but that's also our shit.
Yeah,
We bring a lot of our trauma and our shit to relationships. So we got to remember we're on the same team.
exactly. And when you actually are with your partner, like you and I, towards the problem, against the problem, instead of you against
Yeah,
me, that's
exactly.
everything, right?
Yeah.
And you have two babies, and how can we raise them to not fall into that? How can we raise children that are not worried of being man enough, woman enough?
I don't have the answer to that one. I'm learning it. What I'm learning right now is a huge part of it is showing our children our faults.
Mm-hmm.
So letting them know we're not perfect.
Okay,
I
that's
think
great.
another huge thing that I'm learning and that my wife and I are both learning. Look, also we're reading a lot of books and trying to figure this out at the moment
Me
because
too.
we're realizing like, oh my God, we're messing up our kids, and and you when you have those thoughts, that's perfectly normal and acceptable. It means you care.
Yeah.
I think talking to them like people, right?
Yes.
I think that's a huge one, and I also think like looking at the gender stereotypes and the way that we view the world.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's then trying to do the opposite. So I want to encourage my daughter to take up space and to be bold and to be loud and to take physical risks because the world's going to tell her not to. And I'm encouraging my son to be sensitive and emotional and compassionate and empathetic because the world's going to tell him to be not to.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of offsetting, what I know the world's going to tell them to do. And the best way we can, honestly, the best thing, the most important thing we could do, forget books, forget all of it, is we have to heal ourselves.
Exactly.
The number one thing, you could be the best parent in the world, but if you have trauma that you haven't dealt with and you're fucked up, you're going to fuck up your kids. It's just the way it is. Because it's impossible to not pass that down to them. If you're not healing, you're going to be creating this codependent, unhealed relationship on them, and they're going to grow up to be just like you. So we have to heal. And you can heal while you're parenting. I'm healing while I'm parenting. My wife's healing while we're parenting. And the deeper you go, the more you're like, oh my God, I have to change this. Okay. So you're aware of it. And that's what life's about.
What is the step one of self-work?
Self-reflection. It's a combination of self-reflection and mindfulness.
Do you believe that we can do that by ourselves? Do you think that
No.
we need help? That we need
Oh yeah.
that we need
I think we need community. I think we've lost community. We've lost community. We've lost tribe. We've lost true friendships.
Mm-hmm.
We need people that we love and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily now I believe deeply in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much access. There's so many books there, but books can only do so much. You need people, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's self-reflection, and then there's consultation with people, and being in community with each other, and vulnerability, and sharing the things that you're going through, and seeing other people's struggles. And it's like iron sharpens iron. I mean, you need that. You need somebody to have objective views and tell you the truth. Like I think we're so afraid from the truth, we don't know how to take it, so we don't ask. But I don't know. I wish everybody had 1, 2, 3 deep friendships that nothing was off limits, that we could go to, where there would be no bias, where people would tell us, instead of just, you always see in like TV shows, these, groups of men or women coming together after they're in a relationship, and they're always like, oh, you can do better and all this. And there's so much enabling that happens, when in reality, what I would love to see is like someone be like, no, Aislinn, you messed up. No, what did you say back to him? Well, no, hold on. You shouldn't have said that. Think about that for a second, right? Holding you accountable versus making him the bad guy, or vice versa, which is what many of us, fuck her, man. You can do better. That's what we do. We enable each other when in reality we should be holding each other accountable and saying, oh no, that's not right. Put yourself in her shoes, put yourself in his shoes. There's more space for that because we're missing compassion and empathy. But it all comes back to self-reflection. You can't even get there to community unless you're self-reflecting.
Exactly.
And you have to be willing to be like, hey, how did that make me feel? Why did I act up that way? Why did I put her down? Why did I put him down? Why did I puff up my chest when I was around that person? Why am I feeling insecure? Why am I like, we have to be asking those questions. That's self-reflection. And then you can get to like step 2 and then step 3.
Amazing. Thank you so much for this. Everything we talked, it was so powerful, so necessary, beautiful. Thank you so much, Justin.
Oh, Aislinn, thank you so much. So good to see you. I am sending you so much love, and let's get together in person soon.
Yay. Mwah. Ojalá que hayas disfrutado este episodio. Y recuerda que en nuestra página web, lamagia-delcaos.com, puedes encontrar mucha más información de estos temas y de nuestros invitados. Tenemos blog, tienda en línea y material exclusivo para los que se suscriban. Síguenos en todas las redes sociales como @lamagiadelcaos. Gracias por darte este espacio con nosotros.